Yeah. We're about to go into a meeting with Tony Ball.
Okay, just have a seat. He'll be with you shortly.
We appreciate it. Certainly do.
All right.
Hey, y'all, I'm ready for it.
Okay, come on.
That's right. First left.
And how you doing?
And first left?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Would you like coffee, Coke?
Appreciate y'all.
I just got in. They just can I get? I'm gonna grab me a cup of coffee.
Okay, that's fine.
Come out.
That's a cute picture right there.
I don't get a little coffee in the morning. I can't function. Do you have something you want to write on? Or?
No, sir.
Okay, I was just I can't write on. We don't have lines.
No, this is a paper I want you to read.
Okay, good deal. And what I'll do is just, if I can just make a copy of it.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm going to have to do. We actually have principals meeting going on right now, but I wanted to go ahead and get this done and just kind of preface this with saying, first of all, I need to get some, if you just put your name and address and phone number on that. And I can't remember your first name.
Casey.
Casey, I don't know why I can't remember that. Casey's one of the first people I met when I got here.
Oh, really? You said by address and phone number?
Yeah, just because if I want to send you something, I mean, it's nothing to fit. I mean, you don't have to. It's just,
I don't know.
The phone number is more important than the address, to be honest with you. Sometimes we do address because we have found that we've got people that's intervening and they got no standing. They live in Sylacauga or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do live outside the city limits, but my daughter,
but you ought to go.
I chose to bring her into the city school system. Yes.
I mean, yeah. And before we go, I just want you to, part of attitude on my part is, and I don't care, anything I say is public knowledge. So I don't care who has told anything. I learned a long time ago not to ever say, listen, I'd rather not tell anybody this because what that's doing is they're going to. So I just go ahead and just say it. Mary McGee and Sandra Beavers has got a concentrated effort to make my life as miserable as possible. Any concern that you have should have been directed through the school, and this is a little different, I know that, and then to the next level central office, but they don't want that. They want people to come to the board meeting and create turmoil. For example, y'all were there through that whole thing last night. Great. I mean, since I've been here, we've not had, unbelievable. Mr. Moten did a super job of presenting those boys and girls. And then we turn around and invite people. I mean, how many times You know there's issues. You know there's issues. You come to me. You come to us. You come to us. I've got no problem with people going to a board member if they go through channels and give a, because most things that we can fix are explained. And then, and I don't know how I'm going to deal with this. I was so angry last night, and it looked like I was taking it out on you, and I wasn't. And I'm so glad that you said, will you hear her out? And so I'm not upset with the idea that you're speaking on behalf of somebody. But I was so upset, it kept running through my mind that she stood up in that meeting and said that you got teachers in this system that don't care about your kids. That is wrong.
Well, I think in any system, you've got teachers that don't care, and then you've got teachers that do care.
Well, the thing is, though, what's your last name?
Gets.
Guess.
Gets.
Let me look at it.
The O is silent.
Okay. Getz. Okay, Miss Getz. That's not the venue to do that. We had just finished up a nice affair. That was so inappropriate. And I'm going to do everything I can do to let my teachers know that's what your board member feels about you. That's how she thinks about you. But yes, you're right. We've got teachers that need to go home.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. You had some?
Oh, yeah. I had quite a few.
Well, I had some when I was in school.
I had some. I tell parents right now that in the course of kindergarten through 12th grade, you're going to probably have 42, 43 teachers. You're going to have some that knock socks off. You love Kim Mitchell.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Just she'll be in your life the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
And then you had some you just soon not see anymore. But just a little bit I know about you, you probably went in and done what you're supposed to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And but same thing with bosses. It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
same
You're
thing
going to
with
have good bosses, you're going to have bad
you've had
bosses.
good, you've had bad. People always talk about tenure. You know, if you do what you're supposed to do, you don't have to worry about tenure. I mean, because there's not a lot of, number one, people are not beating the door down to get into education.
Oh,
no.
So the quality has gone down. I mean, I've seen it over my time. Then we get into situations where people feel entitled to things. I don't know the answer. I mean, if I knew the answer, I'd be sitting in some Washington think tank right now. I wouldn't be here. I know, this is what I know, regardless of other situations that's happened, there's nothing. My first thing that I think about is how are we treating the majority of people now. So I don't even know how many people I'm over. I really don't. If you told me you'd give me $1,000 right now, I couldn't tell you exactly. It's around 300, but I don't know exactly. There comes a heavy responsibility with that.
Oh, I'm sure.
And matter of fact, they're having my favorite quote ever in the world. I always thought it was Dr. Seuss. It's not. Found out yesterday it's not. But they're actually having a sign made for me because I say it every meeting we have, and it's the saying, when you can be anything in the world, be kind.
Yeah.
And that's a goal we should all ascribe to. It's harder some days than it is other days, but if your general makeup, and you don't know me, Kim doesn't know me, you don't know me, people that really know me day to day will tell you right now that I've got the kindest heart in the world. I made 2 decisions yesterday, and they are hard decisions. And then I'll have to do it again in May when we start letting teachers go. That is and I've told principals, if you ever get to the point to where you take somebody's job away, take somebody's dream away, and you feel good about it, there is something inherently wrong with you. So nothing I've done that's been adverse, I felt good about. I'd like to say that I walked out and I said, man, I nailed that. I haven't. I have felt confident that I made the right decision, and I've done that. Yesterday was the hardest day I've had since I've been here, because I'm going to be dealing with 2 mid-year terminations, and it's going to be hard. I mean, it's just going to be a nightmare.
Well, I want you to know.
But so anyway, I'm going to let you talk.
Okay.
Because I just want to get all of that out of kind of where all that was coming from last night. And in the future, if you have something, come to me first. And then if you don't hear what you want to hear, then do the next step. I mean, let's do that.
Well,
and as you go through your career, because I'm kind of talking to her too. Because I mean,
that's why I want her here.
Well, and that's why I said I have no problem with it. I mean, because she spoke as eloquently as anybody could, standing in the parking lot outside the boardroom. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
It didn't change my mind. It made an impact. And every time I see you, even though I know you probably don't care for me on a certain level, I don't think you're vindictive or anything like that.
Oh, no.
But I don't. But it's always cordial. Hey, how you doing? I think I've asked you how school was going a few times and stuff like that. So anyway, let's get you wanted to advocate for Miss O'Neill.
First, I want you to know I'm not a troublemaker. If you remember, I was the teacher of the year last year. Parent of the year last year. You presented me the award.
I didn't remember.
I am not a troublemaker.
I didn't remember. Well, and I don't think you're a troublemaker.
And I have 3 kids, 2 that's graduated from the system, 1 that's currently in it. None of my children have ever had disciplinary action.
I can imagine that.
So, and I've never had to be in the superintendent office. But I want my daughter's story told. The other parents have told their children's stories. I would like you to hear mine.
Yeah. Well, now, just for the record, I've not met with any other parents.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just for the
Well,
record.
last year, that was the classroom that went through the 4 teachers.
Right.
I trusted in y'all. I did not come up here. I knew y'all were doing what needed to be done.
Okay, and you brought up 4 teachers last night. Technically, they went through 1 teacher and 3 subs, because we never really hired.
Well, see, we were under the impression that Miss Smith was their teacher, and then Miss Pierce was their teacher, and then Kid.
Well, they were all their teachers, but when you talk about, they were not hired as teachers, because the thing with Miss Smith carried on for a while, and so we ended up subbing. Now, one of those was hired as a teacher, and then I don't even know what happened. I don't remember on that. It was not a good situation.
Right.
I'm not trying to defend that at all. But now we're still only talking about half of them, because Miss Pittman had the other half of them all year.
Oh, yes, and yes,
All year.
yes.
You know, they and let me just, if you don't mind, because while we're doing this, I mean, it's a good time just to kind of tell you how things are going. So, I'm trying to do what's right for kids. So, last year, Miss Watts, my first year, she called me and she said, Mr. Paul, I got 34 kids. Is it 4th grade? Was it 4th grade?
Yeah, it was 4th grade last year.
I said, I got 34 kids. I said, what? And she said, what am I going to do? And she said, I got to have another teacher. I said, Cynthia, I don't know. I don't, because, I mean, I'd like to say money doesn't matter, but money matters. And I said, golly, and I'm sitting there. And so, where I'd ever been, every day we get student counts and class counts. And I'm looking down at Salter, and I'm like, this can't be right. We got 8 kids in kindergarten and class 1, class 2, class 3. 8 kids? So we had 24 kids in kindergarten at Salter with 3 kindergarten teachers. And I'm like, what? That can't be right. So I went over there and made sure it was right. And I come back and I said, well, there's me an extra 4th grade teacher right there. I mean, because if I combine those 2, they still only got 12 in a class. Mm-hmm. That's still little.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's still little. Well, so I met with those 3 kindergarten teachers. I knew with kids that sat across the table. And I said, y'all know why I'm here. And they, yeah. Because they kind of like, yeah, we know we got the maid. We only got 8. And the law allows you, first 20 days, you can move somebody within anywhere if they're qualified. So I said, somebody's going to have to move over to 4th grade. I said, we got 34 kids. And I said, I just can't have that. We can't do that. Well, you would think, on that teachers loving kids, you would think that the altruistic thing to do would be like, yeah, one of us has got to go. That's not right for that Miss Pittman to have 34 kids. I'm going to do the right thing by kids. Well, it didn't happen. So that meant I was going to have to make somebody go. Well, the law clearly says they must be qualified in the position that they're going to. Well, so you get certified now. You used to have, well, they still have some of it. You can be certified K6 or K3. But 2 of those teachers were K3. One of them was K6. So really only one of them was qualified by law. Happened to be the one with the most years. It was a rat killer. And it spilled over into that. So that was a unintended consequence. I really thought after a week, that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But it never was. So anyway, that's kind of how that came about. And I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I just wanted you to know how that happened.
Well, due to all of that, last year, the learning was not what it should have been. My daughter's grades dropped. I tried to help her as best as I could, but when you don't have a constant teacher in the classroom, so she went from A, B on a row to bringing home some F's and some D's. I went on the field trip last year. The behavior of these children was horrible on the field trip. So much so that I will not ride the school bus on a field trip again. I will go because of my daughter, because I love her and I do things for her. But I will drive my own car.
Right.
When I got off that bus, I looked at Miss Benson and I told her, I do not know what they pay you, but you do not get paid enough to deal with the behavior of these children. My daughter, every day last year, cried begging not to go to school. Would come home from school with headaches, stomachache, because of the behavior of the children in the classroom. This year, she didn't want to come back to Talladega City School. She was begging to go to every school but Talladega City. But I trusted in y'all. I brought her back. She met Miss O'Neill. She loved Miss O'Neill. With Miss O'Neill, my child has gone from a third grade reading level all the way up to 4.9.
Great.
She is back on the AB on the road. She has flourished because of Miss O'Neill. She comes home every day. The first week, how's the kids acting? And she would tell me, oh, they're misbehaving, but Miss O'Neill calls their mamas. She's not letting them be bad. So she has flourished under Miss O'Neill's direction. Her grades have come back up. She's doing wonderful. They went on a field trip a couple of weeks ago, hillbilly scientists.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My daughter brings the permission slip home and says, Mama, don't sign it. I said, why not? Because I don't want to go. Why do you not want to go? The bad kids, Mama, I just can't go. Well, when they got back from the field trip, Miss O'Neill had the students that went on the field trip to write paper about what they had learned, which is normal. But my child who didn't go, she asked her to write a paper about why she didn't go. I want you to read in my child's words and handwriting why she did not go.
Very well written.
So instead of going and having fun,
Is this
she
my
chose.
copy? Or can I make a copy?
Can you make a copy so I can keep a copy of it?
Hey, Chief, will you make me a copy of
So instead of her going and having fun, she chose to stay at school and do work because she didn't want to be around the bad kids. The bad kids are causing an environment that's not a learning environment. And I know you've had some parents complain, their children have complained. Let's say 5 kids. Well, what about the other 15 kids in the classroom? I mean, you do have a handful of people that are bad, but the good people should outweigh these 5 bad.
Okay, so you know I can't discuss it.
I know, and I don't want you to.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to
but
give you some
wanna-
things to ponder.
I know, and I've pondered that because, this is not, that classroom is not different than most classrooms.
Oh, I understand.
They're not. There's, just like we was talking about people and teachers, there's always a group here, there's a group here. And I really kind of always think there's 3 groups in just about anything. Really, employees probably 4. But, you got those, it doesn't matter what's going on, they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. You got these over here, it doesn't matter what's going on, they're going to be trouble. And then you got these over here that kind of teeter, trying to decide their spot. And that's probably every classroom America in there. So without going in, and you're right, sometimes you do weigh that because you got some, they hate the bus. I mean, you can do it with bus drivers, teachers, you can do it with anything. They pick on my baby, they pick on my baby, they pick on my baby, they pick on my baby. And without getting into specifics, I'm going to tell you that's not the issue with Miss O'Neill. There are things, there are other things, and I just can't talk about that. And I'm not, I don't know how to, any other way to say it. I can't go into other things in that. I hate that it didn't work. I mean, it's not good for you. It's not good for, what's your daughter's name?
Alyssa.
Alyssa. My middle granddaughter's Alyssa. Alyssa Marie. But I hate it for her. I hate it for us. The fighting that's going to occur. But I'm going to make decisions based on experience, based on advice. There's very few. Every decision I make, I don't call somebody. But if I'm making a decision that's got some ramifications to it, superintendent here in Talladega County, Dr. Lacey, she was principal at Childeberg Middle while I was principal at Lincoln. So we've been friends a long time. Very knowledgeable, very, very, very smart woman. The superintendent in Oxford, I've known him a long, long, long time. The superintendent Guff Shores actually used to be in Piedmont, my best friend in the world. So those are 3, but there's others. I call them for counsel a lot. Man, I'm dealing with this. What's the suggestion? Somebody's been in it a long time. Because by and large, I'm a year and a half. I don't have a lot of experience. I actually, as superintendent, but in a former role as assistant superintendent, this is what I did all day long. Meetings with people. I was that. I don't have that level person here. It's me here. I don't have that little buffer. Well, I do a little bit. Miss Smith, Miss Thomas, Gloria, and that. So I respect your thoughts. The way things have gone down with Miss McGee and Miss Beavers and other people that have been stirred up has not been conducive to learning. Regardless of what happens, I wish Alyssa nothing but luck. That is beautifully written. This young lady.
To me, it's sad.
No, I'm not. Well, I wouldn't call it sad. I'm saying it's beautifully written. That just like you've had to do, Casey, this may be one of those things that she's got to work through. I wouldn't call it sad. It's unfortunate. I would say it's unfortunate that I don't know of a teacher anywhere in the world that doesn't have somebody that loves them, somebody that hates them. I just don't know if it's that exists. I've never noticed that light coming in on me like that. It is what I was saying earlier. As she goes through, she's going to have another great teacher, and she will have another weak teacher. I hate to use the word bad, but weak. Because most people are not bad. They don't know how to do something, or they're weak. That's your.
Well, no, it's a phone, but I can cancel a call from
I
that.
got you. So anyway, I appreciate you coming in. I wish we had done this before last night. I wish we had done this, last week. I don't know that it would make, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you it would have made a difference in my mind or my thought process, or will make a difference in it. I respect the way you handled it, this part of it. Last night, I don't know who told you to come before last night and talk about it, but they were wrong. I don't know if you just happened to be there or if you were encouraged to be there. But a board meeting, and people in Talladega, they really don't know how board member meetings are supposed to be because they're used to this circus atmosphere. And it doesn't matter whose side you're on. You cannot, do you know last night was the first night since I've been here that Mary has voted yes on personnel report. And it's always.
Well, I have to say, it was the first meeting I've ever been to, and I left not knowing anything, just like when I went in.
Yeah, well,
because the things y'all said, y'all didn't really speak about anything. It was, here's the minutes, vote yes or no.
Yeah.
Here's this, vote yes or no. And we're sitting out there going, well, what are they voting yes to?
Right, see, but that's the way it's supposed to be. It is not an information meeting. A board meeting is a school system's business meeting. And it's different than, if they're having Honda's business meeting, they're not going to have the workers sitting in there and stuff. They're conducting business.
So how, me as a parent, do I find that information?
But what information, up here you can find that information. But I'm not going to tell any parent that I'm about to recommend to hire or fire. Last night, for example, I can tell you, you'll hear them say the personnel report as presented, and who's on the personnel report? Is Miss O'Neill getting fired? And a lot of times they'll even pull them out. Like when we've got a lot in the summertime, they don't want to vote on the group, and so we pull out of A18. Well, we know A18 is Casey, and nobody else knows that. And that's by design, and that's on purpose because that's very confidential information. Once we vote on it, then it becomes public.
Okay, so that's why the Daily Home is able to put the stuff in the paper.
Exactly. Yeah, it becomes, and you probably didn't notice it, but Mr. Norwood comes up and says, "Can I get a copy of the personnel report?" And we actually had to add one on there last night. We had a late termination last night. Happened yesterday afternoon. Not termination. Resignation, a late resignation. So, but now, what was on that personnel report? We hired a PE teacher at the high school. See, the PE teacher that was there, I hired him at the beginning of the year. I gave him a second chance. The kid had been here before, done something. It wasn't anything with kids or money or anything like that. He'd done something, and he didn't get fired. He resigned. Stayed gone 3 or 4 years, grew up a little bit. We brought him back. Worst hire I've ever made, Miss Gibbs. Worst hire I ever made. Worst hire I ever made. Immediately started becoming a problem. Called him in, talked to him, called him in, talked to him, called him in, talked to him. Finally, and I knew his daddy. I used to coach with his daddy. And so I met with Darius and I said, "Guys, I hate to do this, but I'm firing him. I'm going to terminate him right now." That was on a Friday. That Sunday, his daddy calls me and says, "Chris, the guy won't be at work Monday." And I said, "Really?" He said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, he's sitting in Atlanta Fulton County Jail." And I said, "Oh, my Lord." He said, "I'll bring you resignation Monday morning."
I got everything.
So it was a resignation, but I was about to fire him. I had to. Dealt with one at Houston. similar situation. Now, if you're tenured, there's not a lot you can do for a tenured teacher. And that's that's sad.
I don't like that.
Yeah, and you work, and I'm dealing with one in elementary school right now that it doesn't right. You can fire a non-tenured teacher, but it is so hard and strict. The levels are so out there that you kind of ask, do you want to go through this, or do you? And most of the time, it's not going to work. Now, the New Students First Act, with a non-tenured teacher, you don't have all those things. You can do stuff with notice type deal. No appeal. With a non-tenured teacher, there's no appeal. Think about that when you get into, and that's kind of there used to be an old saying: the first 3 years that you work, you act like they don't even need to know your name. But now I don't like that philosophy, because you should be active and include, but there's just ways that you handle it. But anyway, I'm just talking in generalities about stuff that things are not done just arbitrarily. So going back to like people not knowing what's going on out there, well, it becomes public knowledge once it's voted on. It becomes public knowledge. So, but nobody's going to turn around and say, okay, everybody, the financial report is here. This is this. But the other thing is, you can go on the website, and like they will talk about, I don't like that so-and-so, you know, she voted no on the financial report, right? I don't mind telling you why she does that. Because Chucky Miller. She hates Chucky Miller with every ounce of her body.
Yep.
Every ounce of her body. There's two people Mary hates. I don't think Mary hates me. That's what I've been most disappointed about since Miss Beaver's come on. Mary and I had developed, and I don't mind you telling them this, because I've said it to them, that we had developed a respectful relationship. I understood she's gonna vote no. I'm good. You know, that you vote your conviction. But since Miss Beaver's got on, it's gone downhill. And Miss Beaver stood in the parking lot the night I was hired and said, if you don't fire Chucky Miller, I'm coming after you and we're going to get your job. Well, at that point, I didn't know what was going on with Chucky. But what it was, the son got kicked off. Well, he didn't get kicked off the basketball team. You went to school with him. He stood up on the basketball court in front of everybody and said, F you, I quit. Well, no coach in America is going to let that kid play. And but that's where it all goes back to. But last night when they voted yes on the personnel, I thought, there's something wrong. There's something wrong here. And then they voted no on the dang financial thing. But my point is, all that stuff's on the website. You go on our website. Now, every little, like the deletion of fixed assets, that's not.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah, okay. So as you go through the year, and we're doing a lot more of it now, like when I got here over in Henderson, there's a basement. Did you go to school over there?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a long time ago, but I did.
It's not a true basement. It's like it was probably a classroom or something, 2 classrooms over it. There was overhead projectors, computers. Yeah. I'm talking about to the ceiling, and it had leaked in there, and it was filtrated with mold. And I told I said, I want this stuff gone. When we get you through using something and it's no longer any good, I don't want to put it in a warehouse. Before you can sell something, you have to declare it fixed surplus. So that's what we were doing. We're saying, and that was a bunch of old kitchen equipment that we had in storage, old deep fat fryers. You don't use them anymore. You can't deep fat fry food anymore. Some of them work, some of them don't work. I mean, if you had the time, you might go through and put it on Facebook and all that, but you can't do anything with it until it's declared surplus. And now, what we will do with all that is we'll put it on Gov Deals. If something you think's worth $100, it'll bring $10, $10, $15. But you know what? It's $10, $15 you didn't have. Like they've been keeping buses, old buses that's been worn out. They don't use them for anything. We sold 18 old buses, and we made about $32,000 on them. Well, that's I'm hoping to take that and buy a little van for teachers to go to professional development with. So anyway, that's what that was. Most of that stuff is just business. I've asked Miss McGee several times. I think it is the most insane thing in the world. So we got her agenda, and she says, next we will hear the superintendent make a recommendation on deletion of fixed assets. Then I have to say, I'd like to recommend that we accept my approval of deletion of fixed assets. We've heard the superintendent make the recommendation. I'm like, why don't we just say it one time? I mean, but all of that stuff is mundane. Personnel is never mundane. I mean, it's always somebody. So 5 people apply for a job. Only one of them's going to get it. You're guaranteed 4 people are upset. Really upset. So last night, one of the things that we hired was a counselor. You remember Miss Rigdon? Janice Rigdon? She was a long-time counselor. She's retiring. And,
Yeah, Alyssa loves her. When my husband passed away, she went to Alyssa and brought Alyssa in for counseling and stuff.
She's top shelf. She's white. See, that's another thing with Sandra and them. All you ever hear is, and we do need to hire more black teachers. We're a majority black school system. Mm-hmm. As a system, we're 67% black. I feel like my mouth feels dirty when I talk about it, though, because I feel like a racist when I say, oh, we got to hire somebody, but they need to be black. Well, that's not fair to that white person. But the reality is that we need more black role models for our kids.
That is the insurance and warranty and all them costs.
We go on job fairs and stuff like that in Jack State. We go to the college. I've not been to a job fair at Alabama State, but I have been to Alabama State's Department of Education trying to recruit math teachers. Is what I've been trying to get is math teachers. So it's not like we don't try to get it, but I was talking about the personnel report. So that becomes an issue on everything that I get asked, whether white or black. I hate answering that question. I think you have, Brett. I hate asking that question. I mean, I really do. So the hiring process, let's just say it's a teacher and not a career tech type.
Christmas tree, have a happy holiday. Everyone's dancing merrily in the
Everything's done online.
Yeah, the
Soft
state.
search,
Yeah.
right. So, and it clearly says must have a degree in early childhood. Mm-hmm. Clearly says that. There'll be 300 applications. Over half of them won't even be degreed. Another half of them will not meet the qualifications. And you got to go through every one of those to find that out. So anyway, but you kind of, and then you get 10 that really are. So then you kind of look and say, well, and it's just kind of arbitrarily. I mean, it's subject. Well, this person worked here, that person worked here. They did this, and a lot of times you don't know if it's black or white. If the name is Quandarius, it's kind of a good clue. Name's Emily, you probably know, type thing. That funny story though. I ran into a girl that I taught at Anniston last night. When I taught at Anniston for 11 years, so I love black kids. And she introduced me to her daughters, and she was a black girl, and their name was Ashley and Amber. And I thought that's a little unusual. But so anyway, so we get those, and we narrow it down to 3 or 4 people we're going to bring in the interview, and usually one of them stands out, or 2 of them stands out, but sometimes they are just even Steven. Everything's even. And you just pick one. You just say, well, this one she smiled a little bit more. And you pick it. It doesn't mean the others were bad. And that's a similar situation on this other day.
Yeah.
It didn't mean anybody was bad. It was just something, and a lot of times it's just right here. So, but you got usually a principal's doing that, and they usually have somebody sitting in with them, and then they run it through curriculum, and then they always come through me. And at most of the time, if the principal recommends them and the director curriculum recommendation, then I'm gonna be okay with it. If it's a high profile head football job, that's why I got taken out of context when I made that statement about it's the most important hire. I mean, at that point, that was a very important hire because of all the ugliness that was going on with everything. That was totally taken out of context. I don't think athletics is more important. It is important, but it's not more important. Career tech's not more important than anything. Right now, if somebody beat me in the head and held a gun to my head and told me, what do you think the future of education is and the most important thing we need to be teaching, I would tell them they need to be teaching carpentry, welding, and pipe fitting and air conditioning. Right now, we're building this little concession stand, softball thing. I'm not saying
About time.
we're building that now. $260,000 that thing is costing. And that's about $60,000 more than normal, but the reason it is because you can't get tradesmen to do it. So now that block mason, he knows there's nobody else to do it. So he can go up to $4 a block, where if there was a lot of people out there, you could get it done for $2 a block. And that's what I'm saying. But what I get labeled at right off the bat is I don't believe in career tech. That is as far. My daddy was a carpenter, painter, plumber, whatever. He wasn't trained in anything. He just, back then, you just learned how to do it. Well, right now, I'm a better plumber than anybody in this town. And I guarantee you I can build a better house. I've built 5 houses. So I think it's super important. I don't want to think, we need to bring back auto mechanics. We don't need auto mechanics. We need auto technology, because now it ain't about changing oil.
Oh, no.
Now it's about hooking a computer up and being able to figure out the 32 ohms coming across the Y conductor as it crosses the CO2. I mean, it's a technician more than it is anything. So, in your field, I mean, things have happened to make culinary a big, big, big thing now. I mean, there's people, millionaires in that. And I don't think we need to try to get kids to go into fields because they're going to be a millionaire. But where they can make a living, yes. I mean, that needs to be something where you can make an honest living and a good living. Make a good living off of it. But anyway, I know I've rambled on, but it's just thought processes. And if we ever have a board meeting, and now they were right about this, encouraging people to come to board meetings. I encourage them to come too, but not to come, because number one, they're not going to find out a whole lot. I mean, there's not a whole lot you're going to find out. And it's not the place to come to ask questions afterwards. If you've got a concern, a legitimate concern, and you've addressed it with the channels, and they didn't address it for you, then by all means, there's nothing wrong with coming before the board. And just to let you know, there's a process for that. And I'm making this up, so don't hold me to it. I think it could be 4 days, but I think it's 5. That you have to come in and tell us that you'd like to be on the board agenda. It's got to be 5 days before the board, and you write down what you're going to talk about, and we decide if we're going to let you come before the board. And most of the time you are. And then you got like 5 minutes to come. You can't. What's the word I'm trying to say? Can't talk about somebody individually. Can't come up and like my child's teacher is Miss Jones, and Miss Jones is a drunk, and you can't do that kind of stuff. So anyway, Miss Getz and Casey, it's just an unfortunate situation.
I don't want my daughter to have to go through what she went through last year.
I don't want her to either. I really don't. I don't want anybody's child to.
I think she needs it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But is your car running?
My daughter's sitting in it.
Okay, everybody keeps saying the car running, they don't
It
see
is.
nobody.
She's in the back seat.
Okay, sorry about that.
And she's 18. She's not a minor.
I'm debating on if I tell you something or not. I'm going to tell you this because is Casey going to school today?
Alyssa, yeah, she's at school.
Alyssa going to school today. This thing had already started, Miss Getz. Miss O'Neill won't be there today. And the only reason I'm telling you, and there again, that's kind of public knowledge because she's already been told. Already been given letters and all that kind of stuff. And that decision was already made. I kind of let it slip and go, and I said I had a hard decision yesterday, and I'm going to tell you, I fought myself. I mean, I have to answer to myself ultimately, and I sat here and I sat here and I sat here and I worked and I decided that I was going to do it. So that part's done. So once again, I'm not telling you not to tell anybody because then that would, I mean, you just handle it how you want to handle it. It's going to be out pretty soon anyway, but I don't want Alyssa to walk in there blindsided. There's a substitute in there today.
And she hates when they have
I
substitutes.
know, and if you don't want to take her to school today, I will give her an excused absence.
Well, she's at school right now, but I may need to go get her because if Miss
Oh, I
O'Neill's
thought
not
she was
there.
in the car.
No, that's my 18-year-old that just graduated last year.
Oh, okay.
We were headed to Oxford when we
Okay.
left here.
Well, if you go get her, I will count it as an excused absence.
Okay.
Okay. Because, I mean, like I said, I don't, because she's already been blindsided. I mean, if she's in school, because it all happened this morning. Everything went down this morning, about 8 o'clock or so. So you just, if you go over there, just, well, Dr. Watts is actually, we're actually having a principal meeting right now. I would just tell her that if you decide to do that, to change the code on it to, I don't know if they got a code for superintendent approved, but principal approved. I know they got one for principal.
Well, I'll probably go get her because if Miss O'Neill's not there, I'm sure she's emotional.
Right. And
Am I looking towards Miss O'Neill not coming back? Do I need to address that with my child? Because I have a feeling we're going to go back into the situation from last year with her.
yeah, with her, but and I don't mind while Miss Rigdon's still there. Might be a good. Yeah, Miss Rigdon's still there. This went running for this. She's staying through Christmas, and we've only got next week. And this, so I can't put another permanent teacher in there until January 14th. That's the earliest that I can do that. I met with Miss Dr. Watts, and I think you probably like Dr. Watts.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine anybody not liking her. I wish I had that much of her dang energy. I've told her, I said, there's a couple of things here. I said, I want you to get on your horse. I want you to call everybody you know. And I'm thinking there's December graduations. That's kind of what I'm hoping is going to happen. Because a lot of times if you're trying to hire somebody mid-year, they didn't get a job, and maybe there's a reason they didn't get a job.
Yeah.
That's out there. Well, December graduates now, I mean, they may be, I mean, there's no reason they didn't have a job, they just got through. That's kind of what we did at this PE teacher that we hired at the high school. He's actually a history teacher, but and he's a black male. Didn't hire him because he's a black male. It helped. I'm not gonna lie, because we need black people, and he's only in PE. He played college football up there, so I think we made a home run hire. And he's a December graduate, so that's. So I was an August graduate, but it was tough because I didn't graduate till like August the 14th.
Yeah.
And it was just and I ended up getting a job in private school that first year, but it happened so late. So.
Mr. Ball, I apologize.
What's
I'm
that?
sorry. Patty said you're next up on the agenda. Are you?
Tell her I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Okay.
We're about done.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've given the charge that we're gonna really vet this person and get us somebody good in there. And I used exact words. I said, we cannot go through what we went through last year. We cannot do it. Now, that's our goal, and that is job one in Talladega City School System right now. That more than any, I mean, I'm doing the same thing with another school. It happens to be there again, I hate using black and white, but this is a black female, it's those situations are white male, so it kind of shows that those things don't matter. I've just beat myself. We're about to end up. The time to do it is now. We'll start a fresh start and so I give you my word that we're going to do everything in our power to get a high quality person in that classroom. I even thought about, at this point, you can't make somebody transfer from another school. You can do it first 20 days if they're qualified. But I wouldn't want to make somebody take it because then they're not.
Because then they're not going to be in the right position to do what they need to do.
Because it's all about up here. You've got to have that mindset. And it's hard. Teaching is hard. I'll say, if you've done a good job, at the end of the day, when you walk out those doors, you should be tired. Because one thing that's tired is talking. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wears you out. Just talking all day long. I don't know if you heard or not, but we just bought we bought 28 microphone systems to the teacher wear a microphone around their neck, and it's amplified through the ceiling. And the kids have got this, it's an elementary type thing, and they can actually, it's like a play ball, like I can bounce it to you.
I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Where y'all had saved
we bought
it.
28. I actually, I'd love to buy one for every classroom, but what we bought, 28 of them was $64,000 or something like that. And I just didn't have enough money to put it in all of them. But it helps the teacher. Mm-hmm. And that's what Miss, oh crap, who's the teacher? Where did you go to elementary?
I actually went in the county system at Stanley.
Miss Gallagher at Oriole Young has had vocal issues. And she said, I couldn't believe after the first week of it how much better my throat felt. Because now she's just able to talk, okay, kids, read chapter 3 instead of bar. And then the other thing is, you're talking right here. Y'all read chapter 3 right?
Exactly.
And you just lose it in that. So anyway. So what year are you in school now? Second, first?
I just finished. I'll have 10 credits as a junior as of Friday.
Wow, good deal. Now, are you in any classes with Family and Consumer Science now? Or
I just finished one for my fashion fundamentals and merchandising.
Now, is Kim teaching classes, or I know she's like an associate dean or something like that.
She's an associate professor up there. She's actually my advisor. Okay. She's the CTE advisor at JSU, and she's actually taken over a sewing class in the spring, and she teaches the education courses in the afternoon with the interns.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, all right, I'm going to get over here to this principal's meeting. I'll give you a copy back. And I want you to know, just to be clear, I haven't talked about any reason that things have gone down. I didn't
come asking her because I know
I didn't say any. I don't think that I was being wrong by telling you because you were going to know in a few minutes anyway after you talked to Alyssa. So, but, and I don't even know if I told you if I'd realized Alyssa wasn't saying. I was thinking she was sitting in the car.
No, she's 10. I wouldn't leave her out there. And her artwork is supposed to be hanging. It says love.
So what she went to, well, just walk, you can walk around, and Ronnie framed all of
supposed to be in here. It says love. Love. She won the superintendent.
No.
Alyssa, Deb,
And it says love, let's go.
So we got them all over the.
Yes. Well, it was this last time y'all had it.
So that will be the one.
Yeah.
Alyssa?
Getz from Graham.
Oh, man, we gotta look for the name. Who's in the kitchen?
Yeah, this is.
Superintendent Award.
Right, yeah, I'm gonna sit back. They were all over at the art, the heritage thing over there, and I picked them out, but I don't remember which ones were good. There was seven.
I don't know.
Yeah, she was in fourth grade last year. It
Yeah,
would've
she
been-
won the superintendent award.
Well, let's look back on that end.
Look,
There it is. Is it to the right? Here it is.
Okay.
As you first come in.
Because Ronnie spent about 3 or 4 days framing these things, yeah. Look where it is, this is the first one.
Yeah, there you go. We gotta put it when you enter in love. So tell them.
I was kind of sweating, I was like, please don't
But there it is.
And I didn't notice it when we first come in.
That's
And I
nice.
would say, so when we go, there's a lot of them up over there.
Yeah, I went
A
over
lot
there.
of them up.
It was
So
real
what we
fun.
done, there was Patty, there was 3 of us, and we had these little stickers. And so we walked around and we put stickers on the ones that we liked. Each one of
You
us
like
had,
man.
I'm making this number
Oh, yeah,
up.
that was good.
Like we had 10 stickers, maybe
Yeah.
12.
You don't have
And
a
whichever
phone
ones
on
had
you?
the most stickers, they wanted to.
Yeah.
Take a picture of it, let's see it, and then you can bring it back one day and see it.
Yeah.
Let us see it, man, framed. That's sweet. Because we thought, oh, this says love, it's got to go out in the front.
I like
You
that.
have Christmas tree back.
That's sweet.
Yeah, that might make it.
Yeah, that, she may need a little.
Yeah, it needs a little love.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Do you want to bring it? Because it starts in like 8 minutes. The car was running with nobody in it. They could have seen me in the back seat. What happened? Oh, I hate